So, I thought today to talk about practical self-confidence. Okay? Because self-confidence is really important. If we don't have self-confidence, we really can't do much, you know? So we need to have the feeling, oh, I can do this, yeah? And the confidence. But we need to be very practical in our assessment of what we can do. Okay? Because if we are confident, if we're overly confident, then we wind up in a hole afterwards. Okay? So it's kind of like, I guess if you're riding a horse and you know you can make a small jump, and then you know, and so you have the confidence you can do that. But then there's like quite a big jump and you go, oh, I can do that one too. And you gallop and you try to get over it, and then the whole thing collapses and the horse falls on top of you and you're hurt. So then you're worse off than you were before. So it comes from not having a practical evaluation of what we're actually capable of doing. Yeah. And sometimes we under-evaluate ourselves because we have very poor self-esteem and we go, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm inadequate, you know. We go to that thing and get ourselves depressed. Or we swing to the other thing of, well, you know, I can do this and I can do that, and I'm completely capable, and if I put my will to it, I can conquer the world. That's a little bit unrealistic, don't you think? Yeah? So this way in which we swing back and forth between, you know, I'm hopeless, helpless, and then, you know, this kind of, I can do everything. And actually, in fact, we're neither of those. Okay? You know, if we stay on one extreme and feel hopeless, we're not going to get anywhere. If we go to the other extreme and we're overly confident, we're going to get hurt. Yeah? So we have to really look at our own capabilities and at the situation we're in and make really good choices that accord with our present capabilities. Yeah? If we make choices that are going to accord with what we want to be in the future, we're getting in over our heads, you know? If we make choices that don't, you know, based on things that are too small, then we don't use our potential. So it's this thing of really finding out what we can do and what we can't do, and to be able to be honest with ourselves as we are finding this out. Yeah? Because sometimes when we fall flat on our face, it's very uncomfortable and we feel kind of humiliated, and we don't want to admit to other people that we bit off more than we could chew. We don't want to admit that we were overly confident. So we make up some kind of story about, well, I didn't really fall on my face, and if it looks like that, anyway, it was this person's fault. You know, I didn't really do something. And we tell ourselves that story, and then we avoid really being honest with ourselves. Yeah? Have you had that experience? You know? And it really takes a lot of courage when we fall flat to then kind of go and say, you know, I made a mistake and I need help, and will you help me? You know? And I think that's the most courageous thing to do. You know? All this kind of, oh, I can handle that, and anyway, it wasn't that bad, it was the other person's fault, and, you know, to cover up, you know, I think that's cowardice. Cowardly, you know? And I think just to be able to say, oh, you know, I bit off more than what I can chew, and I need some help, and I need some support. I mean, I know when, like, people ask me, well, why did you become a nun? And I said, because I had so much attachment, I knew I couldn't live a lay life. I didn't become a nun because I was so strong and confident and could do everything. I became a nun because I looked at my life and said, you are running on attachment 24/7. And I didn't know how to get out of it, you know. I didn't have the self-discipline to get out of it. And I didn't have the wisdom coming from meditation to get out of it at that time. So I said, oh, I need to put myself in a different situation where, you know, I have the precepts to guide me, where I have people around me to support me, where I have a teacher. Yeah? So, you know, I think all of us to really assess what we can do and what we can't do in an honest way without falling into a lot of self-judgment about it. You know, without putting ourselves down and without, pretending to be what we're not. Hmm? Make some sense? Anybody have anything they want to add?
I think this has a huge part in self-confidence, and like adding it practically has a huge part in the dying role. Because I was reading on Whose Dies, Most People to Meet, and it talks about in life we have this vision that we're going to die peacefully, whole, everything's going to be perfect and we can let go. But in our life, we're not whole. It's like he pictures it as like a shattered mirror, and all the pieces that we don't like, we pick out and don't look at them like how they should be. And so we have this only this like part of a frame of who we think we are. So if we can't live whole, we can't die whole. And this has a huge, what you're talking about, is a huge part in doing that. It's like really looking at yourself from an honest perspective, and you know, as non-judgmental perspective, and to really observe what is really going on and add to it. And what can we do to make ourselves whole?